We might be live. Okay. Okay, there we go. I think we're live. Excellent. So today, I just want to work on this little soldering project. Figured it might be a opportunity for people to come in and chat. You know, if you want to ask me a few questions or talk about some stuff, just while I work on this. This is a little radio kit I got from AliExpress, and it's a fake Panasonic. And I think that's really funny, having a kit you build yourself be like a fake of another brand. There's something just really, really funny about that. Like, you don't need to try to convince me. I put it together. But it is a Panasonic 210 SP. So that's the radio we are building today. And it uses 3 ICs. Let's see, one of them's there. One of them I need to solder to the back. It's surface mount and it's pretty small. Yeah, there's the other one. Hello, you gotta focus? Yeah, so there's the other one. And then there's one that just looks like a transistor. That's somewhere. Oh yeah, I already put it through the board. So last night I spent maybe like 10 minutes just putting some of the capacitors in. It has a ton of those tiny little like polymer caps, and I think they accidentally sent an extra, what is this, a 202? Yeah, an extra 202, because I put 2 in the board. The packing list says comes with 2 202s. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, 202P, and it comes with 2 of them. There were 3 in the box, so I thought I'd done something horribly wrong. Guess I haven't. Anyway, let's start soldering a couple of these. There we go. Now that I think about it, it probably would have been a better idea to go ahead and solder that big chip on the back first, so I don't have to deal with soldering it in between leads. I might actually pull out the capacitors that I've put through the board in that area and just, I gotta make sure I don't make a solder bridge there. But yeah, I might pull out the caps that I've soldered in that area. Okay, yeah, that's going to be a problem, because those pads are super close together. I'll go ahead and just solder both. Just drag that iron in between and hope that splits any solder that might be between them. Okay, I think that might have been effective. Oh my god, I set the stream to private. I'm an idiot. Oh my god. I'm actually so stupid. Okay. Okay. Wow. And we've frozen? Oh, okay, there we go. So I was live for like 5 minutes just talking into the void on a private stream. That's really awesome. Nice job. Really great job there. I actually have bought a couple of these like AliExpress radio soldering kits that I want to build, I want to work on here. The wiggle strat is like completely underrated in removing leads. It gets them off more cleanly than a pair of like wire cutters. And no, I'm not just coping because I don't have wire cutters right now. It's actually effective. And more people should know about it. Oh, you can't really see what I'm working on. Hold on. Okay. Hopefully that's a bit of a better camera angle there. Oh, so the one that I accidentally might have bridged is one of 3 electrolytics in this kit. Only has 3 electrolytic capacitors. And the rest are just the tiny, tiny little guys. There we go. Ooh, we might as well go ahead and solder one of the chips here. So I think this is just an op amp. I mean, that's what it looks like. It just looks like a tiny little audio amp chip. Just an 8-pin little fella. Dual op amp, maybe. I'm gonna look at that part number actually. This is a TDA 2822M. What is the TDA 2822M? Yeah. It's a dual op amp. So, what's a little weird about this kit? Wow. Is I guess this radio IC doesn't have doesn't have AM capability. It's FM only. So there's a second IC just for the AM, and then there's another power amp. Radio circuitry really peaked like 20 years ago with Sony's custom designs, and like the ones that I've done videos on modifying for this channel. But modern radio chips often perform and sound worse than Sony's proprietary ones from like 1993. But I do know that there are like Chinese clones of the old Sony chips. Like they're reverse engineered. Maybe that's what we have here. Ooh. Where'd my, like, schematic go? Ah. Okay, good. Looked like I created a solder bridge, but it's one that is supposed to exist. It's one that's supposed to happen. Knock out a couple more of these caps and then maybe start testing resistors. The resistors did not come in like the little paper strips that have the labeled values. So they're just letting you fend for yourself. I could spend time trying to read the codes, or I could just test them and kind of guarantee that I'm getting them right. And I think I might just test them. There's so many leads that are like super close to other leads. Some of them being pads that are intentionally supposed to touch other pads. Like there's a 4.7 something, I guess that's a 4.7 resistor. Then I'm actually going to want to go ahead and solder because its pads are super close to one of the capacitors. But I have to find out which resistor is the 4.7 actually. No, that's a 22K. VOD viewers skip an hour. I think a lot of these are like 22K, if I recall from the like the packing sheet correctly. No, it's a 1K. Oh yeah, it also has two coils, and one of them is labeled like T7 and the other is labeled T8, but I don't know how to tell which is T7 and T8. Like, one of them looks like it has 7 windings and one of them looks like it has 8 windings. So that should be pretty clear. But I was thinking also maybe that's a coincidence because on the board here, hello, there we go. On the board here, 7T is drawn significantly larger than 8T. So, like, I don't know which one of those occurrences is a complete coincidence. Oh, 100K. It's a big guy. One K. Okay. There's probably like one 4.7K in this whole kit, and it's going to be the last one that I test. Yep. Like 3K. Getting closer. Literally 2 resistors left. It is going to be the last one that I test. 326 ohm. Didn't plug it in right. 33K. Yes, the 4.7 is going to be the last one. If this one isn't 4.7, okay. So it literally was the last resistor that I tested, was the one that I needed. Awesome. Jinxed. Okay, but now that those 2 connected pads are filled, we're gonna solder that. Also, sorry that this stream is in 720p, but I'm streaming from my my phone hotspot, so my Wi-Fi speed sucks. Okay, that turned out pretty well. Just a couple more pads and we can start cleaning up this area. Damn, messed up my glasses. I'm sorry. They're wafting towards the intake of the laptop. The solder fumes are gravitating towards my Dell Precision. That's wonderful. Oh no. Before this, I really should have swapped out for a smaller tip. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to suck that pad off. I gotta go get the damn tool for that. It took me like 10 minutes to mess something up. Okay. Yeah, that looks perfect actually. Tried to remove the solder and ended up accidentally perfectly soldering both pads. Awesome. Okay. So I see we've got a couple more people coming in. This is a knockoff Panasonic radio from AliExpress that I'm soldering. It's a 3IC design, AM/FM. And when it showed up, it was a whole lot smaller than I thought it would be. Like, the case is only this big. I thought it would be the size of, say, like a Sony ICF, which is like, they're like this big, like both hands put together size. But no, this is just a tiny little guy. With all these chips on it. Let's see, I can get a couple more. I did put in way too many components at once. I got overzealous last night and whacked in like 20. Oh, that's another one that has two components on the same pad. What are you? What else are you? Oh, a 1K. I think you've got a couple 1Ks over here. I really should have labeled these while I was testing them. That would have been the smart thing to do. Maybe that's a 1K that's just way off. But I think that's actually just supposed to be a 1.5K. Oh, that's a 3K. Not even recognized. Cute. Well, we can check the board to see if there's a 1.5K anywhere. Oh, 1K5. Yeah, while I'm testing these resistors and finding their values, I may as well just start putting them in. So the schematic is kind of a mess. It's kind of confusingly labeled. Luckily, the board is labeled on the silk screen. Also, there's probably a whole lot of like background fan noise and stuff. Oh yeah, whoops. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, there's our other 4.7, yeah. I think it was like down here. Wow, the two 4.7s are next to each other at the bottom. And of course they were the last resistors that I tested, trying to find which one was the 4.7. That's another one that has two pads. Yeah, yeah, very nice. Okay. I got off track. I was supposed to be finding a 1K. I completely forgot about that. Got so excited by the other resistor I found. Again, I don't have a wire like cutter that cuts close enough to the board. So I'm pulling the wiggle strategy. And it's been working well. And it's very stupid. Ooh. Two soldered together. Whoops. How am I gonna deal with that? Alright, I gotta heat it up and then pull. I accidentally soldered like the lead of this one. Shameful. Okay. Man, I really wish I had something to like hold the board. We're gonna deal with that later. When I have the appropriate tools to do so. The switch could be soldered at this point. That is an option. Yeah, switch could go in right up there. Maybe bend a pin so it stays in the board. There. Okay. Switch is on. We can go ahead and put in the audio out jack even. Is this stereo? Yeah. Yeah, it's stereo. Not sure if the radio chip can actually do stereo, but that's what the jack is. So here's hoping. People in the AliExpress reviews did seem to like this radio, so hopefully I do as well. Sorry, I should move the camera more like that so you can actually kind of at least have a chance of seeing what I'm doing. Okay, there's one other place. Oh, right, yeah. I still need to deal with those coils. Maybe I could look at the sheet. That might give me a... Well, a lot of it I have zero chance at actually reading. But... oh. No clue. Yeah, so it looks like the inductors aren't even, like, on here. So that's real nice. It's just the capacitors and resistors. It doesn't list the chips. It doesn't list the LED on this. So we are, we're just gonna try our best. And, like, what is this for? I mean, obviously, it's like the tuning indicator. But how does that work? Take off a couple of these leads. Oh, there's two in the same hole. That must be one of the, yep, that's one of the electrolytics. One of the 3 electrolytics in this whole kit. You look at like a Walkman, like a, even some of the kind of basic late 90s ones, just the single IC Walkman, and you still have like 12 electrolytic capacitors in there. And that's pretty much all the capacitors. This has too many components. There are too many components on this. Like, I was mentioning earlier that radio circuitry peaked in like the late 90s with Sony's custom IC designs. And they require so few external components versus this mess. There's something next to that capacitor that we should solder, because it looks like the pads are linked together. Come on. There we go. $675 ohms. Where on here is there a 675 resistor? Oh, a 680. Okay. Okay, pretty close. Oh, kind of weird placement there. I'm just going to start testing these resistors and putting them in wherever. Like wherever on the board. 33K. This was like a, I think it was like a $5, maybe $7 kit. And all the components are actually close to their intended values. Like, I haven't gotten one that's more than like 5% off yet. So big ups to John AliExpress, Mr. AliExpress, for making this kit. Okay. So many of the ones of like the little discrete components near the big IC on the back here, so many of those have like shared pads with another component. That's so strange. Are you even labeled? Okay, there's a 1K there that's also sharing a pad with the capacitor. It's like I have so many components in the board right now that are as of yet unsoldered, but it's like, due to the way this is designed, you can't really put it together unless you have like 15 components in the board. There we go, 9943. We're gonna put that in our 1K. There's so many components in the board that are so close to each other and sharing pads that you can't solder those pads until you've got both components in there. Okay. Pretty clean, pretty neat. Well, pretty neat. This back is not pretty neat. We're gonna get some of those leads out of here shortly, hopefully, once I solder this this pad. Wow, I soldered across like 5 pads there, good lord. We're gonna turn the heat down a little. Second mistake of the day. There we go. Cleaned up. Yeah, that's one of the pads that has a capacitor and a resistor, both on the same pad, connected there. I think this is just a single layer PCB, so. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely single layer. You can you can see straight through this PCB. I'm gonna see if I can show you that. No, I can't. Never mind. Anyway, it's like super cheap PCB. But hey, if it works, it works. Oh, there's another one that has two on the same pad. We're going to touch up the solder on that one so it flows onto the other component that's also supposed to be on there. Last night I started just putting all the capacitors in, but like all the little polymer caps. But I definitely should have started, looking back, I definitely should have started putting in all the components that share a pad with at least one other. Because those ones, wow, that lead just snapped. Because those ones, you need both in there to fully solder it. I've been thinking of, I'm not good with SMD. Like clearly I don't have the hardware to really do like SMD soldering. And again, this whole radio and all of its parts were way smaller than I thought they would be. So, hi, hello. Please. Yeah, so I've still got this tiny chip that's like 20 pins that I have to figure out how to solder that without SMD soldering equipment. Oh, okay, so that, oh yeah, we should solder that other, like, 470 back here. There we go. Nice and easy. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, this is gonna take maybe 30 minutes. This is gonna take more than 30 minutes. Oh, yesterday I built also an AliExpress kit. I built like a tiny railgun, or a coil gun, I should call it. Railgun is the wrong terminology. But it's cute. It steps up 3 volts to about 100, discharges it through a magnetic coil, and it'll fire out paper clips and screws and stuff. If you've never built an AliExpress kit, you're low-key sleeping on them. I used to build the like actually super nice Alinco kits as a kid. Back when I didn't have to save money for other things and like actually could buy like a $30-something radio kit. And of course component quality was better, but the solder that those came with was utterly atrocious. I gotta check the schematic again and make sure that these 2 capacitors are actually supposed to be soldered straight to the op amp. Because, yes, they are. Yeah, it looks like they are. Yep. Yep, okay. I panicked. Let's see. Well, we can get the volume knob. That won't be, whoa, knob? What am I talking about? The jack. Oh, Speaking of volume knob, it's a stereo knob. So that's actually a great sign. So maybe the chip is actually capable of stereo. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of guessing because, of course, there were zero details on AliExpress of what this radio would perform like when completed. Absolutely no spec sheet. So, oh, but would you look at that? Three of the pads of the jack are connected together. It may be bridging a stereo output to mono. I hope that's not the case. But again, there are like zero details of what this would actually perform like when completed. Because I think, I think that the idea was that it's the process, not the completed result that you're like buying, So I don't know if this is stereo or mono, but I guess it would be capable. We've got a dual op amp, we've got a stereo volume knob, and some manner of Chinese domestic IC that I can only find like fishy data sheets for, which is a really cool sign. That's a really great sign. Nice. Oh, didn't even need to use it. There we go. Yeah, I'm really wishing I had something to hold the board right about now. Wow, that looks horrible. That looks like shit. It's gotta be the worst soldering I've ever done. Okay, we might need to touch up on that later. I mean, I've done fine with all the little capacitors and stuff, but the big leads of the jack, man, I just completely failed there. Oh, that's not a good joint either. Let's get this lead out of the way, and then we can do that little capacitor, resistor, whatever he may be. Ooh, we've got another case of two sharing a pad. Do I have both in? No, I don't. There's 100K. Man, big resistor. The tuner chip is mono. Ah, thank you. Okay, that's awesome. So a chat member has confirmed that the tuner chip is mono. Oh, CD9088. I think that's it. So I look up CD9088 datasheet and it comes up with the datasheet for a capacitor. Oh, it has built-in PLL? Damn, okay. Yeah, PLL and AFC. Okay. I was not expecting that from this, like, rando Chinese IC. But, ooh. My PDF viewer does not have a way to translate. Never mind. That's unfortunate. $100K. Okay. We've got 100K. First try. Found exactly the bit I was looking for. I think I might have already soldered that. So all the ICs in here, I would assume, are actually from the same manufacturer. Because the part numbers, they all start with TDA. So, no, never mind. I'm stupid. Sorry, the TDA is just the op amp. I meant to say they all start with CD. So there's a CD 9088 and a CD 7642. That's the main chip, and then the supplemental little one that probably just has like 2 or 3 transistors in there that handles some of the AM tuning functions, which is weird. I mean, we had chips 40 years ago that could do AM, FM with one single radio chip, so I'm starting to think that this might not be the most efficient design. Wow. Wow, that's 4 components all soldered together right there. Four, all sharing a pad. That's hilarious. Right. Since it may just be a mono signal, I do wonder if the because it's a dual op amp, but someone in chat said that the that the IC, the radio IC, is mono only. I do wonder if they're maybe bridging the dual op amp, or if they're literally only using one side of the dual op amp because it was cheaper to buy the dual op amp chip, even though they're only using half of it. A lot of cut myself. A lot of manufacturers do that. Even Electro Voice did that in a couple like 80s, 90s, 2000s nice Electro Voice amps. Let's get a couple leads off and, you know, clean up this board a little. Maybe chuck in some more resistors. It's coming along pretty nicely. There's still that, oh yeah, there's still that one area I accidentally soldered that lead where it wasn't supposed to go. Oh, yeah, I should touch up this connection first, actually. There we go. I really should have done that chip first. I really should have done the surface mount chip first. My worry was that I would, like when soldering other pins, that I'd accidentally solder to the chip, and I didn't want to damage it by like removing the other one, because I'd have to apply a lot of heat. That was my worry. But now my worry is that I'm going to struggle to even get it in there, because all things considered, I'm not super skilled. Okay. Our formidable graveyard of tiny pieces of wire over here. It's just growing. Did I mess that one up? A little bit. A little bit. We're going to touch that up. I've never seen anyone else like cut the solder off the reel with the soldering iron, and that's an underrated strat. Saves so much time, and you can do it with one hand. Hello. There we go. Once again, I was thinking this would be easier. Like many things from AliExpress, you order it and you think it's going to be a certain size, and then it shows up and it's like significantly smaller. And that's exactly what happened here. I thought this was going to be like 50% bigger. Hey, oh hi chat member. Thanks for coming in. Wow. Okay. We need to execute another cleanup operation here. That's not good. There we go. Okay. Some of these are supposed to be soldered together, and then of course some of them aren't. So, you know, I get a little nervous whenever I accident. Wait, I just set the solder sucker down and it went off. Okay. Wonderful. Let's see, a couple more resistors can go in now. I'm still so confused about those coils. I don't know which direction they're supposed to go. Oh, we can put the LED in. I think the cathode goes in the direction of the little arrows that it shows. I think that's how this goes. Yeah, the anode, the positive side. The longer leg is indicated by the triangle symbol on the board. Okay, perfect. LED in and up. Classic case of there are two components on this pad, so I'm going to need to find the other one on the same pad and put it in too. It's a 330K resistor. Okay. Please be 330K. Resistor RNG. No? Oh, those are the same. So we've got two 22s, and then... No, those aren't the same. It's going to be the last one I test again, isn't it? It's going to be the last one I test. Okay, so that's a 1K, and then that's going to be the 33K that we need. 326. Sorry, 330. 326, 330. I think that's the most variance in component value that I've gotten. I was actually surprised at how, like, close to spec all of these components were. Again, this was like a $5 kit, and all the capacitors and resistors are, well, they're well within 10%. And most of them are within 5% too. So yeah, you know. Congrats to John AliExpress. There we go. Yeah, I definitely put in too many little guys at once. And now I have to bend the leads away from each other so I don't solder something to a lead of something else. I can go ahead and knock these out though. There we go. I'm leaving a couple leads in areas that I know I need to cut a wire, or maybe use some solder wick to clean up around the pads. We could try the switch. Yeah, we could try the switch now. Oh, that's most things in. We could also put the potentiometer in, a little volume knob. Looks like the power switch is integrated into the volume knob as well. I broke my glasses like a week ago, and I have yet to find glue that will hold them together quite right. So I'm going to look like the stereotypical like 1950s movie nerd with the taped together glasses. Come on. There we go. Okay. Once again, for anyone just coming in, this is a bit of a strange one. It'll tune all the way down to 76 megahertz, but it also goes all the way up to 108. So this is one of the only radios I've ever seen that has both the Japanese and US bands on it. And it's not like a super nice radio kit. I mean, it's not like crazy. I like, the reason that I bought this and wanted to solder it is because it has 76 through 108. Like, that's not super common. So I kind of want to see what's all the way down at 76 here in the US, since our FM band only goes down to it's like 88, 87, something like that. What else? We could tackle that. Yeah. Okay. So we've got a couple more up here that have like 3-4 components on the same pad. Oh, and I never actually finished the switch. The soldering kits really bring out the ADHD in me, because I never quite finish one task before I start the next with these. I'm always like, oh, that component looks fun to solder, let's do that one next. And there are like 7 capacitors that I haven't even like touched yet that are through the board, leads sticking out, begging to be soldered to the pads. There we go. Again, these weeds are widowy so weak. These leads are really thin, so you can literally just pull them off the board and they come off really, really cleanly. Okay, it's coming together decently, maybe. No, it's not. I mean, a lot of them look good, but then there's that one that I accidentally bridged down there. Okay. Okay, there we go. Very cute. I mentioned this at the start, but I think this was when I accidentally set the stream to private and was talking into the void for 5 minutes before I realized. It's a ripoff Panasonic, and it's called Pansonic in like a really similar font. But I don't get why you would make a like a fake knockoff product as a kit. Like you don't need to try and convince me. Like I'm building it. I'm putting it together. You don't need to convince me what company made it. I did. Ooh, okay. I mean, we've got like a decent quality variable capacitor for AM and FM tuning. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. I think that was just the extra that they sent. Still need to figure out which coil goes where, because the inductors are super poorly labeled, and the datasheet is not of much help to me. I might just like Google Translate it at this point. There are a couple leads that are making me a little nervous because they are super close to other things. So I actually have slightly thinner solder that we might use for those. It's not like it's worse quality solder, and I think about 95% of it actually just burns off when you use it. Like it just vanishes. But hopefully this thinner solder might help us get some of the more precise connections there. Yeah, what the hell? It's just disappearing. Okay. Ah. I gambled and I lost. I bet on no solder bridge, and solder bridge happened. Man, the other AliExpress kit that I did yesterday, I finished in like 30 minutes. It was very nice, it was very easy, it was very forgiving. This is not a forgiving kit. Again, I've said this a couple times, but I expected this radio to be significantly... Ow! What even did I touch? Oh, it was one of the capacitors that I was soldering. I expected this kit to be significantly larger, but it showed up, and it's like tiny. So now I'm soldering this, this tiny little guy. 22K, okay, I know that one of these piles here is 22K. I think it was this one. Yep, 22K. We'll go ahead and put that one in because it shares a pad with the capacitor I'm about to work on. Also, I'm sorry. You can definitely hear my laptop fan on the microphone. It's a 3rd gen Core i7, so you know she gets a little toasty, and it has an NVIDIA graphics card, but it's too old to do the like the driver is too old to do NVINC for streaming. So I'm stuck with the CPU encoder and just torturing this poor old processor. There we go. Okay, okay. That should be pretty nice, pretty clean. There we go. This is a little bit of a rude awakening from working on, like, I've been working on some 60s radios, like late 1950s, early 1960s recently, with components like the size of your fingers. Like massive, thick capacitors and huge PCBs with super obvious traces and leads, and like a Literally, like a blind 6-year-old could solder on those if you just told them where. But now I actually have to be precise, and I'm not good at that. Hold on. There we go. I'm using a Variac on my solder vent fan, so it's not super loud. But that also makes it significantly less effective. So I think I've inhaled about a gallon of flux. There we go. Okay. That was easy to fix. Was that the LED? No, no, that wasn't. What was that? Oh, just a tiny little capacitor. I very well may have put that LED in backwards because the marking. I mean, it's entirely my fault. But if I did so, like it's not the manufacturer's fault. But I think I may have read the marking wrong. Hey, we'll see. We'll see. It's really easy to tell if an LED is in backwards. Okay. There we go. It's still a dumpster fire over here. But this side of the board looks pretty neat, pretty clean. Like everything over here is soldered. Oh, except for the switch. Except for the switch. Still need to do the switch. I also ought to clean up the headphone jack a little. Because I mean, I think it's fully soldered to a functional point, but it just doesn't look very neat. Okay, there we go. I wonder if the actual variable capacitor is different than on US radios, since this tunes 76 to 108 instead of 88 to 108. Yeah, I wonder if there's something actually different with this fella. Well, we will see if this ever works. That's starting to become an if and not a win, honestly. I was thinking this was going to be easier. I overestimated. I really did overestimate. There's a jumper somewhere here also. And I know, like, even the nice Alinco kits make you do this, but often they want you to... Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go put my phone on silent. Okay, yeah. Sorry, my phone was, I was getting a whole lot of texts all at once. I definitely put in way too many parts here. Like, I've just created a mini hell for myself. If I bend some of these leads out, I can reach the other things. Okay, here we go. There we go. Wait. Oh my god. You couldn't even see that. I'm honestly amazed anyone watches this channel with the incredible quality of my content. Again, these leads are so tiny, you can just kind of wiggle them a little bit and just pull them straight off, and they come off super cleanly off the board. Jinxed it, actually. There we go. Okay. Now what? I mean, we're almost to the point where we can solder in that chip. And then I do need to fix... I think there's still a pad that's connected to something that it shouldn't be. Yeah, it's right there, actually. There's still a little bridge that I need to fix. And then that's it. Okay. Lovely. The hard part might be behind us. You know, don't want to jinx, but as far as just putting in these components goes. Oh yeah. Like where... Recommend any website book to learn electronic soldering. Okay, we've got a couple chat messages. They probably changed the inductor value to decrease minimum frequency. The chip datasheet says its frequency range is 88 to 108, and the output amp is bridged. Okay. Thank you, chat member. That's some fantastic info. Thank you. Now I'm going to answer the other one. Do you recommend any website or book to learn electronics or soldering? So when I was a kid, maybe like 8, 9, I started out with Elenco kits. And those were really nice. My bench power supply is actually an Elenco kit that I built like seven years ago. But those are really nice because it comes with a little book that, I mean, like, of course it has the data sheet and the instructions for the project at hand, but it also has like some general tips and just like general info on soldering. And those are actually really great for beginners. So honestly, I would recommend those Elenco kits before you try a completely undocumented AliExpress one. But yeah, I was kind of self-taught, as you can tell by the fact that I'm not very good at it still. But, I mean, specifically, are you looking to do, like, are you looking to build things, or are you looking to, like, repair? Because, honestly, the best way to learn is just practicing. And if you're looking to, especially for like desoldering, if you're, say, looking to replace some capacitors in something, another great way is to find something broken that you don't care about and will never need ever again, and just practice on that, you know? Just start desoldering on that. And if you mess up, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to need that thing again. So honestly, that's kind of how I practiced. Like, I later learned, you know, a couple years later, that people were taking advantage of me for e-waste disposal. But when I was like, you know, 8, 9, family members and stuff would give me their old computers, and those were decent, like, repair and desoldering practice, because, you know, it's a whole field of components that you can desolder, and like, especially before I like had money to buy components online. I mean, I still do this for like some weird components that I feel like I'd struggle to find, like super old stuff. I would just keep like a graveyard of stuff in my closet to desolder components for when I needed components for something else. So that's how I got like capacitors and stuff for like 5 years. I'd just steal them from like fax machines or like office phones and stuff. How's it going? It's going really well, thank you. Pull a couple leads. Yeah, now what else? We're slowly thinning the mess of wires here. I still can't tell from the datasheet if I've bridged pads here or like to repair, but building sounds great. I would look at Alinko kits. Okay, cool. But yeah, again, like just find some old stuff to practice on. Like take capacitors out and put them back in or something. We might as well put in those last two resistors. Most of our tiny components are in. Then it's just the variable capacitor and the IC, and they sent a kind of pathetic AM antenna. That's the AM antenna. And like, but there's also this ferrite bar. Like there's a big ferrite bar. But then there's also the AM antenna that has already a tiny ferrite bar in there. So I'm really not sure what I'm supposed to do there. Like, am I supposed to, like, bend this plastic and stick the big one in there? Like, they could not have been less clear. Okay, yeah, there's still a capacitor there. Yeah, we'll knock that out first. I definitely did get overzealous last night, and I put way too many components in, and I've made this difficult for myself because I put like everything in the board last night because I got excited. Skill issue. Might as well use up this this tiny solder. You can use like a foot of this, and it's still not enough to finish one pad. This stuff is crazy. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm gonna look up the inductor markings. Because, again, if you're just coming in, one of these has 8 coils, one of these has 7. And on the board, they're labeled 7 and 8. Okay, should be, you know, pretty self-explanatory. But 7T5 is illustrated as being like 30% bigger than 8T5. So that makes me think maybe the larger inductor should actually go there. I may have gotten in over my head a little bit here with this AliExpress kit. I forgot how annoying it can be to solder something that, like, has no documentation on it? Oh, so the orientation of the capacitor is indeed marked. Because there's a little pin. There's a little pin on the bottom. What? Wait, am I crazy? No, I am crazy. I'm hallucinating. Okay. So I could either put this in right or I could put it in wrong. And I don't think there's a way to tell until it's in. And it either works well or it doesn't. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, that's real nice. These AliExpress kits are really hit or miss. Definitely not for the beginner. Not for the faint of heart. And what are all these, like, holes in the board around the variable capacitor? There are a couple holes in the board that don't connect to anything. And it's also not really labeled on the board where the batteries or the speaker or the antenna connects. So that's cool. Oh, actually, that knock on wood, but that might be where the AM antenna connects. AM and AM. There's two pads labeled AM there, and one of them goes to the variable capacitor. So I think I might have immediately contradicted myself. I think that's where the AM coil connects. Nice. Good job. Well, even though we don't have the antenna yet, where does it go? Where does the antenna go? Oh yeah, I haven't like opened the case yet for you. There it is on the inside. Where does the antenna get mounted? Do you just like solder it to the board and it's supported by the PCB? Because there's nowhere in here where it would clip or get glued, and it didn't come with any adhesive. The instructions might say, but I can't read them. I'm definitely gonna Google Translate those because they definitely have some useful information in them that I'm just like completely missing out on because I can't read Chinese. Hell, I can barely read English. Oh, ant. Well, yeah, there's... idiot. There's the FM antenna. I don't think you solder it straight to the board. I think maybe you solder a wire to it. Or... Hold on. No! Oh! Okay. I think I see how this works. So the board goes in, and when you screw the antenna in to the back, the screw makes contact with the FM antenna contact. That's what I'm hoping for. Also, this is like it's like a reasonably long antenna. It's like a pretty nice one. Okay, mystery perhaps solved. It's so funny. I was like, hey, I'm gonna work on some like rando AliExpress radio kit to take my mind off of this big, annoying, awful Zenith chassis that I've been soldering. It's like a late 50s Zenith AM FM tube radio with a super unclear data sheet. Like, I literally bought the Sam's PhotoFact for it. and for one of the capacitors, 5 values are listed. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? So I was like, okay, I need to take a break from this project and work on something else to take my mind off of it. How about I work on something else with a confusing data sheet and not enough documentation? Great idea. That one needs a little love, actually. There's a nebulous plus on the back of the board here. I'm assuming that's for the battery. I'm assuming that's just the positive contact there. And you just solder like the battery compartment there. And then there are also 2 marked SP. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, right after the op amp. Yeah, so right after the op amp, which is bridged. Thank you, chat member, for clarifying that. You solder 2 wires to the speaker, I would assume. Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm avoiding those. But no, my strippers actually don't have a gauge small enough to strip the speaker wire. Oh, here's another strategy that people don't use nearly enough. You can use alligator clips to strip wires. You just clamp one end on there and you pull, and it works exceptionally well for like tiny wires that your strippers might not have the right gauge for. We're gonna use the tiny solder again. Because this is one of those pads that is like 3 nanometers away from another pad, but this time it's actually not supposed to touch. I'm gonna finish this and it isn't going to work, and I'm going to have to go back through. I'm gonna have to watch the video. I'm gonna have to watch my own damn stream and see where I went wrong. I'm gonna have to have the data sheet in one hand, laptop in the other, and figure out what I did wrong. Some solder dripped here and accidentally soldered like 3 leads together. What are you doing? Why would you put that there? There we go. Okay, so that's one problem solved. Are those still connected? Yeah. Man, there's so many that are so close together. And I don't want to be like, oh, it's the kit's fault. It's all the kit's fault. But once again, like 40 years ago, actual Panasonic, not Pansonic, 40 years ago, actual Panasonic was making radios that, you know, one IC, significantly fewer external components, like little discrete components, capacitors and resistors and stuff. So in the year of our Lord 2025, this is just not a super efficient design, you know. Wow. Damn it. Okay. I'm hoping it's just on the floor. Or like under some. Oh, good. It's just in the resistor tester. 22.78K. I got really nervous there. We're missing a resistor. Okay. That's the last tiny little component. except for one little ceramic capacitor that they accidentally sent 3 of when it was supposed to have 2 in the box, I think. Okay. So now it's time to face the mega mess. We're gonna pull this capacitor out, actually. We're gonna pull it out for a couple seconds. And I just want to be super sure. Okay, good. Okay, good. So, yeah, in case that chat member is still here that confirmed that the op-amp is bridged, yes it is. You can actually see 2 pins of the op-amp. I would assume those are the 2 inputs. This is my assumption. This 202 capacitor is between them to combine the 2 channels of the op-amp. So yeah, they're running this dual op-amp in bridge mode. There we go. Is this what Weird Al Yankovic does in his free time? Thank you. Yes. Yes. It's actually not a thing I've talked a lot about on this channel. But I had a really prolific music career at one point. I feel like the 4 people in chat are not going to know what the hell I'm talking about here. But have any of you seen the video of Ozzy Osbourne singing the Christmas song, and it sounds like he ate bees? Like he sounds like he's full of bees. What goes there? What goes here? Is it the? It's the inductors that I've been avoiding because I don't know what the values for them are. Oh, there we go. Alright. I keep saying this is coming together nicely, and then I look closer and it looks terrible. But I'm gonna say it again, it's coming together nicely. You know what? I should eat. I should, like, go and eat lunch. That would be a good idea. Okay, I'll put a couple more parts in, and then I'll go sustain myself. Okay, I'm going to just take a wild guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. I'm going to assume that 7T5, not 75, literally the letter T, 7T5. I'm going to assume that coil is the one that has 7 loops, and 8T5 is the one that has 8. Even though 7T5 is drawn as being, like, significantly larger on the board. which is like confusing and strange. What is that? There's just an open, empty hole. Ow. There's just like an empty hole on the board that goes to nothing. There's no component on the other side there. This, what did I call this? Chill soldering kit. That's what I called this stream. I should have called it distressing soldering kit. Come in and panic. Grr. Oh, it's because I didn't cut that lead. Grr. It came back to bite me. Well, there's a big blob across those three. What is supposed to go here? Just a jumper? Okay, instead of just putting a jumper through the top of the board like it wants me to, usually what these kits do is they ask you to take like some of the leads that you've cut off the components and use that as your jumper wire. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this big sturdy lead from probably one of the electrolytics, maybe maybe the LED. We're going to use that as our jumper. If I could read the instructions, that's probably what they would say to do. Yes. Beautiful. Okay. That's really nice. And then it gets soldered to the unholy blob. I'll finish this, the unholy blob, and then I will go make some lunch for myself because I got carried away. I got carried away soldering this this mess. Okay, thanks to everyone who like watched the stream, and thank you to everyone who's going to watch the VOD later and watch like 5 minutes of it and probably comment that I suck at soldering because I do. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up here. So thank you all so much. Thank you to my couple Patreon supporters. Really appreciate